So here we have all of that, all the dioxane readings we can plot by year, by well. We also can filter it by which aquifer Gelman designated it as, which type of well it was, and we can show the different symbols for the different types of wells. Even have screen elevation ranges, so this is how deep the screened area is, what's the elevation above sea level. And we even can select by individual wells if we want to. So we start back here in 1986, and you can see there's a little bit of sampling, some really high concentrations. By the way, this is on a log scale so that we can, on the same graph, see the details from really high concentrations all the way down to less than 1 part per billion. We've coded all of the ones that were non-detect as 0.5 parts per billion, just so it'll show up on this graph. Future graphs, we're going to have to lower this to like 0.001 because now the new sampling technology and the analysis methods and the regulations, especially for other states, are below 1 part per billion. But this shows you the full range of dioxane. Now here we have some lines drawn across it for the old prohibition zone groundwater surface water interface of 2800 parts per billion, the new one of 280 parts per billion, the old Michigan cleanup standard for a dioxane of 85 parts per billion, and the new Michigan one of 7.2 parts per billion. And finally, what if it was an EPA standard using 1 in 100,000 over a 70-year lifetime exposure, it would be 3.5 parts per billion. Keep in mind that other states have 1 or 0.35 parts per billion, even lower levels here. So we're trying to get it down below the 7.2 at least. So you can see that there are some trends in here, and we can turn on and off certain aquifers. So if we turn them all off and then just turn on, let's say, the shallow aquifers, starting with the B2, which didn't get sampled for very long, and the C2, both shallow aquifers. Here's one here that's MW25. This is right on the Gelman site in their parcel. And there's only a handful of wells that are in that range. These 12S, 25S, 29, 26, and 29. So you can see what the concentrations were. And even in 2020, there's still 320 parts per billion in the C2 here for MW25S. So we'll go up to a little deeper, down a little deeper aquifer, C3. That's the orange. And you can see that some of these concentrations have gone down over the years, especially during the period that after Pall took over Gelman, until the time just before Danaher took over. So they were doing aggressive pumping and treating in this time period here. But then something happened and they didn't do quite as good a job, and some of these levels have gone back up again, creeping back up above the old 85 parts per billion, even above the 280 parts per billion groundwater surface water interface. Now if we take a look at the next aquifer down to the east, it's the D2. Turn off the CC so you can see that better. So here we've seen some of the wells have gone down, but then other wells went up and down, and not sure what's going on in here, but there's a whole lot of dioxane that's still above the 280 parts per billion. Now let's look at the E aquifer. which is the deepest one, which overlaps with the D2. You can see that the purple for the E and the kind of red for the D2 overlap. Let's turn off the D2 to see where the E aquifer concentrations are. And see, these are actually gone down a little bit, then fluctuated back up. You can look at these for individual wells and take it from there.